So many historic moments have played out before our eyes in major championships, and today, two of the top players in the world are set to tee off. Rory McIlroy holding a one-shot lead over Martin Kaymer. It's the final round of the U.S. Open Championship at Chambers Bay.
Going into, the final round of any golf tournament with a chance to win, especially a major championship, it's a huge buzz. That's the only way I can describe it. It's the best feeling a golfer can have because you're in the mix and you're in with a chance to win one of the biggest tournaments in the world. It's an incredible feeling. It's something that you may only get to experience a handful of times in your life. So, that atmosphere, you want to soak it in as much as you can and really enjoy it.
Rory McIlroy coming off a strong performance yesterday, now making his way to that first tee box and looking to add another major championship trophy to his already growing collection.
And Rich, there's no doubt both golfers will be nervous until they get that very first tee shot under their belt.
The first tee shot is probably the most difficult because you've been thinking about that shot since the night before. Once you get that first shot out of the way, you calm down, you're a little more settled, you're not quite as anxious or nervous, and you sort of get into the rhythm of the round. You want to get off to the best start possible, and obviously that starts with that first tee shot.
Well, here he is, Rory McIlroy, a past U.S. Open champion, about to tee off on what should be an historic day of golf alongside the beautiful Puget Sound. Frank looked like a nice balanced swing.
Well, the free-flowing action that we find synonymous with Rory McIlroy in display, even under the nervousness of an opening tee shot in the final round of a US Open, and just blitzed it down the fairway.
That one carried a long way, stayed up in the sky forever. Frank, tricky little shot from 145 from McIlroy.
You'd imagine with a little bit of nervous energy, probably only a wedge though for Rory. Just something in between the flag and the bunkers on the right. Use the terrain of the green.
Seems to like it. Headed for the fat part of the green. Looks to be a good one, Frank.
Oh, nestles inside 15 feet, so a birdie chance coming up for Rory. And early advantage, McIlroy.
I think making putts early in a round is very important. It sets the tone for the day and it gives you some positive momentum early. You see the ball go into the hole and it gives you confidence. You face a downhill putt at a US Open with greens that are as tricky as that, it just makes it even more difficult. I feel like you always face important putts no matter when it is, but obviously they're that much more important when, it's the final round of a major.
Now over to the second, and McIlroy with a challenging downhill putt. Frank, I know it's early, but if he drops this could really spark some momentum for the round.
But this putt will be very, very quick. You've got to be careful because the ball can quite easily take off once it gets past the hole.
Standing over his birdie putt. And in. What a way to start this final round. Back-to-back birdies. After an impressive drive, Rory just 165 yards out, faced with this uphill approach shot.
It's going to play closer to about 175 yards, though, Rich, because of that uphill. So probably an extra club. But Rory, even though he grew up in Northern Ireland, where it's windy, is a naturally high ball hitter. There's a bunker over there.
I think he's headed for it. That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
Bunker shot coming up now for Rory. How's this part of his game, Frank?
It's certainly improved over the last couple of years, and it really has to, because he plays such an aggressive style of play that you have to accept the miss, just like what we saw in that second shot.
Well, he'll have to get up and down from the bunker to save his par. Bunker shot coming up now for Rory. How's this part of his game, Frank?
It's certainly improved over the last couple of years, and it really has to, because he plays such an aggressive style of play that you have to accept the miss, just like what we saw in that second shot.
Well, too bad. He'll have to play from the bunker. Bunker shot coming up now for Rory. How's this part of his game, Frank?
It's certainly improved over the last couple of years, and it really has to, because he plays such an aggressive style of play that you have to accept the miss, just like what we saw in that second shot.
There's some times when there might be a wait on a tee box, or you've played your shot and you're waiting on your playing partners to hit their shots, and you just look around and you realize where you are, because you don't really you don't appreciate it that much whenever you're playing, and that's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking about trying to win a golf tournament and not really taking in the beauty of your surroundings.
Well, this is one of the most spectacular spots on the entire golf course here at Chambers Bay. The 9th, they call it Olympus, and what magnificent views as Rory McIlroy gets set to tee off here on this par 3.
And there's a great view, too, of how exposed this golf course is. So if the wind is whipping, this hole can play very treacherous. Won't play its full yardage, considerably downhill. Club accordingly for that, 1 or 2 clubs less. And green a little narrow when you get towards the back. So this shot really has to be respected. This is not heading in the right direction.
It looks like it's going to be in the rough. Misses the green right here at the 9th. Second shot coming out of the rough here. Safely aboard. A good 20-footer here. You can see the golfer is just boiling right now after that miss, and a drop shot here at the 9th. And getting ready for the putt.
Oh, that was nasty.
That's an outrage right there. I mean, if there's a high commission of golfdom, we need to consult them right now, because it's just simply not fair, Frank. It's not.
I think the people above are frowning on the people below. Rich, there's such a variety of short game shots required here at Chambers Bay. Even chipping, nothing's really straightforward. Bunker shots, they vary so much in depth, shallow bunkers to deep bunkers. There's a lot of variety required around the greens here at Chambers Bay. Rich, you get that feeling if there's going to be a moment, I think that moment is now.
Trying to clean this up, make his par. Frank, you know what gets me about this game? Here a person makes a legitimate effort, makes a good stroke, and that ball spins around and is just laughing at the player. And now what's left, you could breathe on that ball. It counts the same as a 300-yard drive. It's not right.
Final few holes to play, especially of a major championship like the US Open, You know, it's what you've worked so hard for. It's what, you know, you've put all those hours of practice in for, and you know, this is your moment. This is your moment to see what you've got against the best players in the world and test yourself at the ultimate level. There's obviously a lot of pressure. You know, you don't want to let an opportunity like this pass you by. You don't want to let it slip. So to stay really focused, really concentrated, try to take one shot at a time, try and put the result out of your mind, control what you can control. But saying that, it is difficult with so many things going on around you, whether it be the crowd or it could be the person that you're going up against. You know, there's so many things that you can't control, but you know, the things that you can control, that's what you have to concentrate on, and that's what you have to try and, you know, do to the best of your ability. And if you can do that, that's what gives you the best chance to try and win a huge tournament like the US Open.
So here at the 17th hole, tie atop the leaderboard, two former U.S. Open champions, 2 holes to play. This is one of golf's best moments.
We talked about mental toughness on the first tee. It certainly comes into play here right now, and the 17th hole is named Derailed. And it is going to be more than a test for both of these, and could very well be the defining hole.
And it is not looking like a good lie. Second shot from the rough. It's on the way. Frank, not close, but from that lie, not bad.
Oh, that's excellent. Seriously, given the conditions, Rich. Now McIlroy cleaning up here at 17.
There you have it. Well done. Great putt. One hole left to play here at the United States Open Championship. It all comes down to this. Frank, what does Rory need to do here off the tee?
Well, he has a big advantage, Rich. It's unusual actually to have a par 5 in a US Open as a finishing hole. He's slightly longer than Keimer off the tee, so he has more chance of reaching this par 5 and 2.
Frank, the great thing about these major championships is the slow build-up to moments just like this, and then it gets really tense.
It's a dream scenario, Rich. You just dream that you're going to have the 2 best players in the game vying it out, coming down to the very last hole. That's exactly what we have right now. So far, they've provided great golf. It's going to take something even better than that right now to determine who's going to win. That's an absolute beauty.
So, third shot now for Rory McIlroy. Seems to like it. Looks like it's headed for the green.
Can still birdie the closing hole.
You could hear a pin drop right now. It all comes down to this. Rory McIlroy to win the U.S. Open. Pretty good stroke right there. Just hit it through the break.
It's that sort of distance. If it goes in, it's a bonus.
Trying to grind out a par here. Needs it. That's costly right there.
Painful.
And it's a long way to the hole from here. Never easy.
Had every chance of going in. Now it's that sneaky distance.
Not quite enough on that one. Couple of feet short.
Yeah, hopefully he taps it in. Not his best, but hopefully it's just 2 putts.
Not a gimme, but well within his range.
Wow, he got robbed, Frank.
No, it's like kissing your mother-in-law.
The door was open, but Martin Kaymer slammed it shut. Kaymer, the U.S. Open champion yet again. It came down to the final hole. Kaymer really put on a show. This will forever be remembered as one of the best finishes in major championship history.
Lose a lead or you lose a major, or it doesn't quite work out the way you had hoped. At that moment in time, there's obviously a lot of disappointment, but I think that passes and you use that as motivation for the next one, and that's the only way you can view it. You can't feel sorry for yourself, or you can't get down about it, because what's happened. The past is the past, and you move on. But you use it as motivation not to let it happen again. My toughest loss was the 2011 Masters, when I had a 4-shot lead going into the final round, and completely blew up on the back nine. It was a very tough moment for me. It was very disappointing, but I used that as motivation to say to myself, that's not going to happen again. That's not the player I am. That's not the player I want to be. I used it in a way that 70 days later, I won my first US Open and my first major. So sometimes disappointments can be catalysts for good things to happen in the future, and it's just how you react to it. And I feel like, if you react to your disappointments in the right way, they can be very beneficial.